Alexis from Persia, and I got my sweet pineapple glasses on today because we are going to be doing some fun pineapple crochet patterns. Well, it's just one pattern, but we're going to be crocheting some pineapples. So if you're watching, go grab some yarn, grab a hook, any yarn and hook you have, and you can crochet. I was going to say craft, and then I switched to crochet and it came out weird. You can craft crochet with me today, right now. And if you're watching, say hi. Tell me where you're watching from. How's it going? I keep hearing that there's snow in places, and I'm really sad about that for you guys if you're having snow. So I'm bringing you a little sunshine today. See all my sunshiny pineapples and yellow yarn, and we're gonna have some fun crocheting. So I have a link in the description, the video description, with where you can find the pattern for the crochet pineapple that we're making today, and also it has links to all the supplies that I'm using. So if you want to make your own later, you can find all that stuff there. Even if you're watching the replay, a link should be there. But if you're watching now and you want to crochet, just grab some yarn and grab a hook, and we're going to do this simple little pattern, and you can do it right now with me, and that would be really fun, right? So this is what we're making. Do you see my little pin? My glasses are a hint. I might not wear these the whole time, but I thought, oh, I could wear those crazy pineapple glasses for my pineapple crochet. So that's what we're doing. We are making this little pin that I'm wearing. I feel like you guys are far away. Let me pull you closer. Come closer. Okay, this is what we're making. So I'm wearing a little guy here. And this pattern, it's a couple of years old that I posted it on my blog, but I keep seeing it pop up, like people are posting that they've made it on Instagram, and it's just a lot of fun and cute and kind of sunny, and I wanted to do something sunny, and it's kind of springy, summery, so we're doing pineapples. So when I first made this one, I made it into a little pin like I'm wearing, and also into earrings, which I'm not wearing. These earrings that I'm wearing I made last week on our Friday Craft Club, so if you missed that, you can go check them out. But, so you can make this pattern small, like this pin that I did here, and then I also made it, this is with a cotton worsted weight yarn, and I should have got my ruler out, that's probably about like 3 inches tall. So that's pretty cute. That would be cute sewn onto a bag, like a little applique. And then, right now, we're gonna use some giant, jumbo, bulky yarn and a big old hook, and we are going to make a big one, see how big it turns out. All right, so if you're ready to crochet, who's ready to crochet with me? Is anybody gonna join me? Or are you guys just gonna watch? If you're watching, say hi. I wanna hear from you guys, I wanna see what you're doing. Okay. So, like I said before, if you're just joining us, the pattern is, I linked to the pattern in the description. It has a link where you can find the pattern. This is a free pattern on my blog, and also all the supplies that I'm using. So, for the sample I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna use this. I wanted to do it really big so you guys can hopefully see what I'm doing. So I just went into my stash, and this was the only yellow jumbo yarn I had, and it's the Bernat Mega Bulky, which I really like this stuff. It's super thick. So this is what I use for my 30-minute crochet hat, which is a pattern that's pretty popular. I have a video for that too if you're looking for a quick hat project. This is what I recommend for that. Anyway, so I'm going to use this Bernat Mega Bulky, and I'm going to use this. This is an S hook, a 19mm S hook, and I think this is a boy hook, but you need a big hook for this big yarn. So, all right, I'm gonna pull the camera down, and I might take off my pineapple glasses, because as much fun as they are a little bit, not the most comfortable. Okay, so I'm gonna move the camera down so you guys can see me crocheting, see my hands, and hopefully I will not drop you on the floor like I did last week. Oh, the base is moving on me. Okay, sorry, it's bouncy. Okay. So for this pattern, I'm going to start with just 4 chain stitches. So to make this too, if you are a kind of beginner crocheter, this is a pretty easy pattern. It really only uses chain stitches and single crochet stitches. Hey Tanya, oh thanks. I'm glad you liked my glasses. They're pretty fun. Okay, so this really just uses, here's what we're making, except we're gonna be making a bigger version, just so you can see that. This really only uses chain stitches and then single crochets and kind of variations on single crochets. So if you know how to chain stitch and you know how to single crochet, then you can probably figure this one out. So, all right, so I'm gonna start just by making a slip knot and joining that to my hook. And now I'm going to start off with 4 chain stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I got my 4 chain stitches. And now I'm going to, this last chain stitch that I did, that's gonna be kind of like my turning chain. So I'm gonna skip that one, and then I'm gonna work single crochet stitches in each of these 3 left remaining chain stitches. I'm just gonna do 1. If anyone's crocheting with me, let me know. If you have any questions or anything, pop them in. I love hearing from you guys when we're doing these. Okay, so we've got our first row, which is just 3 single crochet stitches. So I chained 4, and then I went back and worked 3 single crochet stitches. And then, so that's the base of our pineapple. That's down here at the bottom. Now I'm gonna do chain 1 to bring me up to the next row and turn. So we're gonna go working back this way. And now I'm going to do some increase stitches. So to do an increase stitch for this, I'm just going to do 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So instead of just working 1 in this stitch, I'm gonna work 2. And that's just gonna help me widen out my pineapple a little bit. 1, 2, and then in the middle, I'm just gonna do 1 single crochet. And then I'm gonna do 2 over here in the last stitch, which will give me 5. So I'm doing another increase. I'm doing 2 more in this last stitch. 1, 2. All right, so we've got 5 single crochet stitches in this row, in the second row. 1, 2 in the first stitch, number 3 is in the middle, and then 2 over here on the right. So I make the camera backwards so that you can see it the right way, but then it confuses me and I move my hands the wrong way. So I'll try to keep my hands where you guys can see. Okay, so that's the second row. It's basically just 5 single crochet stitches. And now I'm going to chain 1 again to move us up to the next row. And this row is where it starts getting kind of exciting because we are going to do spike stitches. And if you are not familiar with spike stitch, it's basically, we're just gonna be doing a single crochet, but instead of working it into the spot where we normally would, we're gonna work it a row below. And that makes, can you see on this one here, how it has kind of these little V's that kind of look like the texture of a pineapple. Anyway, that's what I was going for with this pattern. Those are the spike stitches. All right, so for row 3, first we're just going to do 1 single crochet in that first stitch, just the normal kind, nothing fancy. And then for the second stitch, instead of working here at the top where you normally work, we are going to come down to the row below and we're gonna work at the bottom of that stitch, okay? So I'm gonna insert my hook down here, and then just like a regular single crochet, finish it off. So it's just a normal single crochet, but you're just working it in a different place, and that gives you this kind of V that goes over your work, and it gives you that textured pineapple look that we're looking for. Okay, so now we're just gonna alternate. So I just did another single crochet. So I have single crochet and then a spike stitch and then another single crochet, and then I'm gonna do another spike stitch and then another single crochet. I need some more yarn. So I'm alternating the single crochet and the spike stitch. All right. And then I have to get my hook into that last stitch. There we go. All right, so for row 3, again, we have 5 stitches, just like in row 2, but we have single crochet, spike stitch with that V, another single crochet and spike stitch with that V, and then another single crochet. So for the next few rows, we're going to kind of alternate in this pattern and keep adding spike stitches as we go up. And it's only going to be 5 stitches wide. But this jumbo yarn, that's why this jumbo yarn is so awesome, because you can only make 5 stitches and still end up with something that's this big. I love it. All right, so row 4, chain 1. Okay, so for this one, we are going to start with a spike stitch, because we're alternating, right? So the last row we did a spike stitch in the second stitch, so this one we're gonna do it in the first stitch. So I'm going down below that last row to make the spike stitch. Get some more yarn. And I've got my spike stitch there. I'm gonna single crochet in the top of the spike stitch from the last row. So you're pretty much always, if it's a spike stitch in the row below, you're gonna do a single crochet. And if it's a single crochet in the row below, you're going to do a spike stitch. Hi, Alicia. Oh, yes, thank you. I love this yarn. It is awesome. It's like just the fattest yarn, and it comes in some good colors too. Okay, so I did a spike stitch, did another single crochet, and then I'm gonna do a spike stitch in that last single crochet. All right, so we've got spike stitch, single crochet, spike stitch, single crochet, spike stitch. And we're gonna just keep going. You see it's getting kind of this fun texture. I feel like it's pineapple-y. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's pineapple-y? I have another crochet pineapple pattern on my blog because apparently I have multiple crochet pineapple patterns. I'm into crochet pineapples, I guess. And that one uses kind of more like a fan shell stitch. So if you want to look for that one is more like a washcloth pattern or a bigger applique, I guess. And, oh, I should tell you guys what I'm doing. Anyway, you can search that on the blog, Crochet Pineapple Washcloth, to find that. Okay, so for row 5, I'm just going in the same pattern, but so last time I started with a spike stitch, right? This time I'm starting with the single crochet and then I'm doing a spike stitch, which, remember, spike stitch is just a single crochet that's worked a row below. Okay, so I'm gonna do another single crochet, and you can see this one right here is a spike stitch because it's got that V, that long V. So I'm going to single crochet into that. Always single crochet into the spike stitch and spike stitch over the single crochet. All right, so spike stitch. So instead of going here, I'm gonna go down a row. You guys got it, right? You got it. Is anybody crocheting? Did anybody go grab their hooks and yarn? All right. So we've got row 5, single, spike, single, spike, single. And now we're gonna go back, and you guessed it, we're gonna start with the spike stitch and then go to the single crochet. All right, so for this one, we'll do a spike. And this is, we're like already more than halfway done. This thing works up really fast, so you can make a bunch of cute pineapples, earrings, whatever you're doing. Single, spike, single, finish out the row with a spike stitch. Okay, so that's row 6. And then we're gonna, for row 7, we're gonna just do that same thing. So start with a single crochet. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Am I going all the way? Keep moving too far that way. Spike stitch. Single crochet, spike stitch and finish up that row with a single crochet. Alright, so we just have one more row of this alternating spike stitch, and then we're gonna pretty much be done and finish it off. So I'm gonna chain one and turn, and I'm gonna start this row with a spike stitch, and I can tell because that row I ended with a single crochet. So I'm always doing the opposite of whatever I did the row before. Spike, single. If you've never worked with a jumbo yarn like this and a jumbo hook, it can take a little bit of getting used to because your hands kind of have to move a little bit differently for the giant hook, but I kind of dig it. Who's used a big hook like this before? Tell me about it, if you like it or not. Okay, so that's gonna be the last row. That's row 8, and that's gonna be the last row of our spike stitch rows. So now we're gonna do some decreases. So to do that, I'm going to just chain one, just to move me up to the next row. And to do a decrease, before we would do 2 single crochets in 1 stitch to do an increase, right? So we're gonna do the opposite of that to do a decrease. So I'm going to insert my hook in the first stitch and draw up a loop. And then I'm gonna go and insert my hook into the next stitch and draw up a loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook, right? And then I'm just going to finish it off like I'm finishing off a regular single crochet. And that is single crochet 2 together. So I took those 2 stitches and turned it into 1. Then I'm just gonna work a single crochet in that middle stitch. And then finally for these last 2, I'm gonna do the single crochet. Hammer fell. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, I think we're good. Oh, I want some pineapple too. That sounds so good. Okay, so for the last 2, I'm just going to insert a hook, drop a loop, then go to the next stitch and drop a loop, and then go through all loops. So I went from 5 stitches on the previous row down to 2. And then for my last row, I'm just going to chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet all 3 of these last stitches together. So I'm going to draw up 1, 2, I'm just drawing up a loop from each stitch all the way across. So I have 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. And that is my last stitch, my last row. So I'm just going to clip that there and finish her off. This turned out pretty cute with this chunky yarn. I'm trying to tell me what you guys think. What should we use this for? Oh, I'm gonna lose my camera again. Okay, we're gonna come back up a little bit because that doesn't want to stay. Okay, we'll do this. So this is all done. So you can see, here's one. I did a pink one. So this little guy right here, I made with embroidery thread or embroidery floss, cotton embroidery thread floss, and this tiny little hook. And I did it pink because you know what? I can do a pink pineapple if I want to, and I wanted to, and it's cute. So that one is super tiny. This one I did with a worsted weight cotton yarn and this hook, a G hook, 4 millimeter hook. And then this one that we just did, this is with a number 7 jumbo yarn and an S or 19 millimeter hook. So you can see these are all the same pattern, just the difference that you can get using different yarns and different hooks. So the way to finish off the pineapple is we just need to weave in our ends. I like to use these finishing needles. These are a Susan Bates finishing needle, and the whole needle is basically like one giant hole, which makes it really easy to thread, especially when you're working with yarn. So that's kind of why I like them. They're a little bit, they're not quite as like stiff as maybe some other needles. So if you're working into really like tight or tough fabric, they might not be great, but It just makes them so easy to thread your yarn. They're definitely my go-to finishing needle. I love them. Except now I'm gonna get stuck. There we go. Okay, so I'm just taking my ends here and using my needle to weave in along the back a little bit so that this won't come undone. And then I'm just going to trim off that extra right there, and do the same thing with the other end down here. And then I think what maybe is my favorite part of this whole pineapple is the little tassel top. So I'm gonna show you guys how to make that next. All right, so we've got that tail woven in. It's not gonna come undone. Flip it over. And it's got that, so you can see the spike stitches create this texture, which I think kind of looks like a pineapple. All right, so for our tassel top, I'm actually not sure what this yarn is because I don't have the label anymore. I think it's like a Woolies Thick and Quick. It's definitely a wool, and it's like I want to say like a number 5 probably bulky yarn. And to do tassels, what I normally do, my normal go-to way is to just wrap it around my fingers a bunch like this. And I have in my post the pattern for this. I kind of walk you through how to do this and just wrap it around and make them that way. But I thought maybe it'd be fun today to show you guys. I got this thing a while ago. It's a clover tassel maker, and I hadn't ever used it before today. I actually tried it out this morning. I used it to make this tassel, which we could just tie on here. But I thought maybe it would be fun to check this out. If you guys are like me and you wonder about some of these little craft gadgets sometimes, it's kind of fun to see someone else use them, I think. So, okay, so the tassel maker, it comes in different sizes. I have this one, which I haven't even opened yet. This is the small, I think. Let's see, what does it say? I don't know if it says, well, it's definitely smaller than this one. Okay, it says it makes 1 3/16 inch tassels up to 2 inch tassels with the little guy. Hey, Amy! And I know, I love new craft toys too. And this larger one is, let's see if I still have okay, this one makes from 2 3/4 inches up to 4 inches. So we're probably gonna want a big 4-inch tassel. So the way that you do this thing is, I think it can make you like some really fancy, like maybe fancier, or I don't know if fancy is the right word, polished. So I really love the Clover pom-pom makers. Have you guys used the Clover pom-pom makers? If you have, tell me in the comments, because I've tried out a lot of pom-pom makers. I think I have, I want to say 5 different styles of pom-pom makers. Well, okay, maybe 4 different styles, and then of course the finger method, which is kind of my one that I use in a pinch. And the Clover pom-pom maker is my favorite. So if you have a favorite pom-pom maker, then you're my kind of person. Tell us about it. Yeah, Amy is also about the Clover pom-pom maker. Anyway, so when I saw that they had a Clover tassel maker, I thought I better give that a try. And the thing that's cool about the Clover pom-pom maker is it makes a really perfect round pom-pom without tons of trimming. And I think that that's what the tassel maker does too, but it is a little complicated. Let me show you the instructions. Holy moly, right? That's a lot of instructions. So anyway, but here's the gist. Hey, Cynthia. She says, oh yes, another endorsement for the Clover pom-pom maker, guys. It's really awesome. Which now I'm thinking, maybe this would be cute with the pom-pom on top. It probably wouldn't look as much like a pineapple, but I just think I like to add pom-poms to everything. Okay, so for the tassel maker, which is what I want to talk about today a little bit, show you guys how this works in case you've wondered about it. It has these little screws on each side, and you can loosen those and then slide it up and down to make different size tassels. So the longer, and you can see there's these, can you see there's little notches on the side? So you line it up with whichever size you want to make. So this one makes 5 different sizes. There's 5 different notches on the side. So I'm going to do, we'll try the biggest one because I got a big old pineapple here. So basically just line up those notches and then screw down these little knobs to hold it in place. And then, so now we have this kind of frame thing here. And I'm gonna use, where'd my yarn go? Oh, I'm holding it in my lap. All right, so it has these little notches right here on the side that are there to hold your yarn when you start it. Which even with this, I wasn't sure if it would work with my big ol' yarn here, but it holds it pretty well. So I'm just gonna wrap that in there, or just kind of stick that in there, and then basically you just wrap this around. So, I mean, this isn't that much different than, you know, like the card, using a piece of cardboard, which is another thing that I've done before, especially when I want bigger tassels. But I figured I'd show it to you guys anyway, because I'm sure you guys are curious about craft toys too. All right, so I'm gonna just do, I don't think I want it too fluffy, too thick. I'm not sure. Just wrap it until you have, so the number of wraps you do will affect how thick your tassel is. And then this, how far you slide these things will affect how long your tassel is. All right, so I think maybe that's good. And then I'm gonna just stick this down here. Wait, I don't think that works. I gotta do it this way. And jam it in there to hold my yarn. So I've got it wrapped around here. Now, what for this pineapple that crochet pineapple that I do, I use the like cord part, the part at the top of the tassel, to attach it to the base of my pineapple. You can see there, I just kind of knotted it twice, and then you can like weave in the ends, or if you're one thing I didn't mention, maybe I should have mentioned, is that I use a fabric stiffener like this, especially for these little ones. If you're gonna make them into earrings or pins, a little fabric stiffener and can go a long way keeping them nice and stiff. And I usually will just put it on the back side because I feel like it keeps the stitches on the front looking nice, but still gives it some stiff. So I'll kind of like dip it in like in the fabric stiffener and kind of set it aside to dry. That's my little, not pro tip, but whatever, tip. So, okay, so for the tassel maker, back to that, the instructions tell you to pre-tie your cord and then kind of like jam it in there and then tie around it. But I wanted loose ends so I can use it, so I can tie it onto my pineapple. So I'm just going to tie it right around the middle. And you can see the middle is where my screws are, right here. It's the middle point. So I want to just tie a double knot around all my loops here, right at that midpoint. So I'm just using another piece of my yarn. You could use like a thinner cord if you wanted it to be smaller, but move that out of the way. I'm fine with some yarn. We're going to try to tie it pretty snug with a double knot. And then that's pretty much it. So now the cool thing about the tassel maker is it has these channels or grooves here on the end that make it easy to cut your tassel off. Just kind of like the pom-pom maker if you've used that. So I'm just going to use my scissors and snap through there. These are my new favorite scissors. Aren't they cool? I'm a fan. They're super sharp. New scissors are kind of like one of those wonderful things in life, right? And that's it. So now I've got my little cousinette thing happening here, and I'm going to use some more yarn to wrap around the top so you get that bell shape more. I don't know what to call that. Bell shape works, I guess. Okay, so if you want, you can just wrap some yarn around and then double knot it, but I've started doing some more macrame lately, and as I was doing that, I've learned some different knots, and I feel like this is, guys, this is the way to finish off your tassel tops. I want to show you. Okay, so I've got my yarn here. I'm gonna make a loop like this. So I just have a short end coming up, and then this is my long end going down, and I want the loop pointing towards the bottom of my tassel, right? Okay, so I'm gonna hold that there, and then taking my long end, I'm gonna start wrapping around my tassel. And just wrap as many times as you want, as you think looks good. All right, I think that looks pretty good. What do you guys think? And you could totally do this with like a different color yarn or different thread or whatever. For the pineapple, I think it looks good to kind of keep it all the same color, but if we were doing tassels for something else. Okay, so now this is the trick to get that really nicely looked finished knot. This is the wrapped knot. I have a step-by-step photos for this on the blog too, on my macrame plant hanger post that you can find if you want more detailed images and instructions. Anyway, so I have, this is the end of my knot, and that was the other end of my loop, right? And then this is the long end I've wrapped around. So I'm just going to stick that long end through this loop right here, and then I'm gonna pull both the long end and the short end at the same time. And what's gonna happen is, can you guys see that? That loop is going to get pulled up under the wraps. So you can't see it, and it just looks nice and finished. And then you just snip off your extra cords there. I'm just gonna snip this one off with the rest of my tassel. And that's it. Our tassel's finished. And then if you want, you can kind of pull down any cords that are kind of popping up. Make it a little more even. Okay, then, so to finish off our pineapple, so I don't know, what do you guys think about the tassel maker? I'm not sure that it's necessary. It is kind of, if you want some really like perfect tassels, it also tells you to wrap a piece of paper around it and then trim with the paper as your guide to get it really perfect. But that sounds like, I mean, I like things to look nice, but I'm not a super perfectionist. I'm just gonna, well, I was gonna trim in my trash can. We'll just make a mess. It's fine. So I'm just gonna trim this up a little bit. And for the pineapple, I kind of like the tassels to be more like fanned out rather than even anyway. So that's not what I'm going for, I guess. That's why I'm not gonna use their advice. That's my excuse for being a lazy crafter. Okay, so now we're gonna finish off this giant pineapple by basically, we're gonna thread these two ends through the back and then just tie it in place. And I feel like it works best if you kind of put the top of the tassel a little bit down below the top of the pineapple piece. So I'm going to just use my little needle here and thread it, just eyeball it, thread it down through here, and then do the same on the other side. Thread it down through here. So I've got these two, and then I flip it over, and you can see they're coming through here, and I'm just going to do a double knot here to tie them in place. And then I kind of like to go back and use the tails to kind of tack down the top of my pineapple, especially for a bigger one like this. So I'm just kind of going through the top of that tassel head with my needle, and then back through to the other side to secure it in place. And I'm gonna go from the other side. So with the little guys, like the pin that I'm wearing and like this little pink one, I didn't have to secure them as much. And also if you're using the fabric stiffener or the glue, you can kind of glue them down for the smaller pieces. But for something big like this, I would recommend sewing through the tassel top a little bit. All right. So what would you do with this big old one? I don't know, it might be cute on like sewn onto a pillow. Have a little fun tassel thing. All right. So here is, I'm gonna bring you guys back up, maybe. My camera thing is not my friend today. That works. Should I put my glasses back on? In case you guys missed these, those of you who weren't here at the beginning. These are my pineapple glasses. They're pretty exciting. Okay, so here is our finished big old crochet pineapple. And the tassel top's kind of my favorite. I made these little ones first to start off as earrings and pins, but you can make them in bigger sizes to do appliques. This one would still be a pretty cute pin. It's not that much bigger. And there's some awesome people who've used this pattern to make some really cute little things that they've shared on Instagram. If you go to Instagram and search the tag #Persialoo, you'll see some of these cute little pins that people have made. Someone put like a little face on it with cute pink cheeks. It's adorable, and other people have sewn on beads, or I saw one just the other day that had like gold wire wrapped around the top of the tassel, and it was super cute. Anyway, so thank you guys for watching. Next week I'm going to be at a conference, but I think still might try to do a live, maybe show you off some of the fun. There's some cool craft sponsors that are going to be there, so maybe we'll go check out some of their booths or something. But I'll let you know, and then, yeah, until then, happy making, have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!